When there's a Wilt, there's a way. The sibling episode of Everyone Knows It's Bendy, and not counting the intro, this episode is 8 minutes long. Truth be told, the fact that the Bendy episode got more minutes really shows that they clearly didn't know what to do with these two episodes. With this episode showcasing a Wilt episode that wasn't really needed to be 22 minutes to make it work, but I can't say the same thing when it comes to the Bendy episode. The premise of the episode is that Wilt really wants to see the basketball game since that he's a huge fan of basketball, hence his personality as an imaginary friend. But Blue wants some chips, and this leads to Wilt going to get some chips, but after doing everyone else's problems, they eat the chips, and this leads to Wilt refusing to say no, only to learn about it later on. But at the same time, he can't be able to say no in front of people. I need to point this out, this episode isn't as bad as the episode we've talked about on Monday, hence why this doesn't have the Cartoon Crisis 3 intro. But at the same time, it really gave me the impression that Wilt, with this episode, he's carrying for about 8 minutes long at least. This episode isn't meant to be taken seriously, and it's supposed to be a showcase of being a less man isn't really the best ideal, which, honestly, this episode isn't as bad as it executes that formula, but looking back, it just showcases of the mortality and mental health of what people can do when they're mostly being a less man of everything and not putting the foot down on saying no. I'm just saying that in some episodes that centers around fossils, these episodes do showcase of what could happen when it comes to being a yes man 24/7. I understand why this episode didn't need to be 22 minutes, but then again, I can instantly see for a fact that with the type of character that Wilt is, I would say for a fact that the comedic effects in this episode is there on what ends up happening when it comes to Wilt going through these situations. But then again, getting older and older, you really feel bad for Wilt since that no matter how he tries on saying no, it's just not in his blood, or imaginary blood if that's a possibility. But then again, it kinda makes me see onto why he can't be able to carry an episode due to that being part of his personality. Like, the special in season 5 is spectacular, but at the same time, that's probably the only way for him to actually have a special of his own, due to the fact that he has a backstory that makes him really sympathetic. So seeing him being portrayed in this episode, again, it's supposed to be comedic, but at the same time, that comedic nature just isn't going to stuck with you forever. And for me personally, the comedic timing from this show just isn't how I prefer it like it used to back then when I was watching this at a very young age. So just by seeing Wilt going through these situations, honestly, he really deserves to watch that basketball game. There's really nothing I can say about this episode, but then again, it's mostly for the best. I can sit through this episode since that it's mostly the best that we've seen throughout this week. And it's not because that this episode has a shorter one time. All I can say is that tomorrow is the best episode out of the 5 episodes. But then again, that's not saying much considering that I'm only reviewing 5 episodes and Nani.the.tigress requested me to do 5 episode reviews. I'm giving this episode a 5.25 out of 10.